Hello, and welcome to the South Dakota Discovery Center live stream of iNaturalist Basics. My name is Ann Lewis, and I am the Special Projects Director of the South Dakota Discovery Center. And today I am joined with Emily White, who is a South Dakota Master Naturalist and a phenomenal iNaturalist user. And we decided to put on this short little overview of how to use iNaturalist because the South Dakota Game Fish and Park is having a BioBlitz week where they're encouraging everyone to get out and enjoy the parks and beautiful environment we have around here and document a lot of that with iNaturalist. So good evening, Emily. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Ann?
Oh, I'm well. I'm well, thanks. So we're going to do a short overview of iNaturalist. You're going to show folks how iNaturalist works on the phone. I'll show how it works on the computer. We'll talk a little bit about the features, and we'll wrap it up in about 20 minutes or so. So I'll be monitoring the chat in case some questions come in, but feel free to post questions after the fact if you're seeing this sometime other than Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And we'll circle back and try to answer it. So first of all, the very introductory basics to iNaturalist. iNaturalist is an online platform, and you can take pictures of any wild or natural organism, flower, bug, lichen, tree, bird, etc., and upload it, and it will be geolocated on a map for anyone else to see. And Emily, you are hardcore. I don't think you ever go out for any length of time in nature and you don't take some pictures. I took a walk with you recently, and yeah, you were on it. I mean, it was awesome. So
It's not a good cardio walk, but you get good data out of the walk.
you do. And so we have we have a group, and that's an advanced thing, but we have a group. Emily is part of a project, and she is currently leading not just in the number of individual observations, but also in the number of species. So you're not just recording everything, but you're recording a lot of different things. So, how many observations do you have now, by the way?
I can look that up. 1,540, but I've been doing this for quite a few years.
Okay. So yeah, so you shouldn't expect to get out there and by Saturday have 1,000 observations. So unless you just like document every piece of grass somewhere, which would be boring and not useful. So anyway, Emily, would you like to walk us through how to use the app, since that's how most people engage with iNaturalist? That's how most people are adding their photos.
Sure. Okay, so I have my handy dandy phone here, and as you can see right here, if I can keep it on the screen, I have downloaded the iNatural app. Okay, you have to do that first. Then what you do is you click on the app, boop, and what it brings up for me right now, and I realize y'all can't see that very well, this is the city of Brookings. That's where I'm broadcasting from today. And there are some points that you can see here and other places. Those are points that either I have put in or someone else has put in. I'm going to put this down for just a second so I can get me up. Okay, this is my page right here. When you do this on the computer, there's like an entry page. There's, hi, this is iNaturalist. Not quite, not quite like that on the actual app. So here I am. There's me in my hat. This isn't really showing up all that well, but you can see I've got, um, let's see, some observations here that I've done in the last day, and there's some little red bloops to the right there, which we'll talk about in a second. Um, so what I do is I go out and I take photos of all kinds of different species, right? And whether it's from my yard or it's from the Dakota Nature Park, and I just take them on my phone, like a normal phone picture. So however your camera and your phone is set up, I don't take them necessarily through iNaturalist. You can do that, but I like to take them just on my regular camera roll. And then to upload one, I'm going to click on that little camera right there, and it has some different options for you. I'm going to put that up. This is kind of glary. Okay, so you don't have a photo, you're using your camera to do it directly through iNaturalist, you have your camera roll, or you're recording a sound. Anne is way into the recording sound stuff. I'll let her talk about that. But I like to do the camera roll. If I can do it upside down and backwards here. There we go. All right, so now you've got all these pictures, and obviously these aren't pictures that I'm going to add to iNaturalist, although I could. Let's see here. Here, let's just add this one for just a second. So I'm going to add, and this is actually a picture of my boys sleeping this morning. They're going to love me for that. So it's going to come up in this screen right here. You do not actually add pictures of your children. We do understand that the human species is a species and it is valuable, but not really the kind of data that iNaturalist is looking to collect. So I'm just using this as an example. When your picture comes up here, you can add a second picture if you have the same species from a different viewpoint. Maybe you are collecting data on a bird and it's important to get the beak shape and the feathers in the wings or the tail feathers or some unique characteristic to help yourself or other people online help you identify the species. So it says, what did you see? So I'm going to click on what did you see? And of course, we know that these are two boys sleeping. And it's saying, you know what, we don't know what that is. Okay, iNaturalist will attempt to actually identify species for you based on data that they've already collected. All right, well, it obviously doesn't help that I'm taking a picture of my kids. Let's just grab a photo from my camera roll here of an actual thing. Okay, this is probably a better example. All right, so now we're adding, oh, there's some flowers of some kind. Let's hit what did you see there, and I'll just show you what happens here. Oh, it's saying it's meadowsweet, and it's pretty sure that my picture of these flowers from my yard are in this family or genus species. I'm not sure what level we're at here. So it's saying, it says genus. Okay, so if I were to, let's say I take a picture of a plant that I have never seen before in my life and I don't know all my plants. Well, I could click on meadowsweet and add that into all of the greater good data. Okay, so we're just gonna add that right now, even though I probably already added this picture. I'll delete it later. But it already has from my phone some locational information and stuff like that. So I don't actually have to add all that in. If you're putting a static photo in from your camera that doesn't have GPS data, you will have to go in and geolocate that, which is a pretty easy. Oh, it's saying I have missing data. All right. Well, for whatever reason this says, I'm just going to save it anyway. How's that? All right. So now you can see in my list of everything, it's starting to load. See this little bar there? That means my phone and iNaturalist are syncing together. So it's uploading that flower. And there it is. I now have 1,541 observations, although really I'll delete this one. And then what happens in iNaturalist, you see all these little red things here that have the number 1 in them? So these are all data points that I've collected, and I may or may not have known exactly what they were. I'm not the best at plants. I'm more a mammal kind of person. But other people in the world have said, like one person here has said, yes, I agree with what your identification is. They can also disagree. They can make other suggestions. The cool thing about iNaturalist is that everybody's working together, right? So this is citizen science, and I may know a lot about turtles. I may know a lot about birds. Someone else is going to know about plants and things like that. And we're all kind of working together to add all the data in. Anne, over to you. What else would you like to talk about?
Well, this was really good, Emily. And I should just point out that you were using an Apple,
An iPhone.
an
Yeah.
iPhone, right? And the Android is very, very similar. Like where it says more on the Apple, there says plus. on the Android. It's pretty simple, and the website has lots of tutorials. You will be able to figure it out fairly easily. The advantage to doing it on your phone is if you have your location turned on, when you upload the photo, the geolocation goes right with it. So I wanted to walk everybody through what it looks like if you're not a phone person, or if you're like me and you spend a ridiculous amount of money on a regular camera because you wanted better pictures of birds for iNaturalist. I actually did this. So I take pictures with my Lumix Panasonic, and don't mock me if you're into cameras because it's not that good, but it's a good camera, not that good though. And I take pictures of birds and I upload them, but it doesn't come with the geolocated data. So I'm going to go ahead and share and show you how to add pictures, not through your camera and your phone rather, but through the website. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. Now, over here, you can see log in or sign up. And Emily mentioned that the first thing you have to do is download and sign up. So we're going to pretend that that's already happened. And I'm going to log in to my account here, and it brings up my dashboard. So I want to come up here in the upper right. And, oh, see, I follow Emily. I'll go back real quick. I follow Emily, and it says that she has uploaded a Meadow Suite. It's missing a date and a location, but it's there. So I can go back, and she's probably going to delete it. So, all right, let me go ahead and upload. So I go through the upload and choose files, and I'm going to upload them right off my camera, or right off my, and I downloaded a couple of photos earlier. And these are two photos that I took of Dame's rocket nearby. And I wanted to upload both of them because one has really good pictures of the leaves and one has really good pictures of the flowers. Now you can see they upload in two different observations, but I want to tell iNaturalist that these are the same plant. So I'm just going to drag this one over. And now I'm just talking about one observation. Every one of these green squares is a different observation.
See, and I didn't know that. This is good.
Yeah. So
I didn't know you could drag and drop.
You could drag and drop. The metadata that came attached to this photo, because I did take it with my phone, auto-populates, so you can see the time and you can even see the location. Now, if the location were not attached for some reason, let's see, it won't let me delete it. You can go ahead and change it. So if I was like, no, that's not there, that's my in-laws' house, I actually took it over here, you can do that. Okay. The species name, a very similar AI, artificial intelligence. iNaturalist goes and it looks at all the other photos that they've taken, and they are telling me they're pretty sure it's in this genus of a Hesperus. And here are our top suggestions: Dame's rocket. And they're saying because it's visually similar to the Dame's rocket, and it was also seen nearby. And if you want to look at it like, I don't think you're right, but maybe I want to see what the Dame's rocket looks like, you could just click on the view and it will bring up all the information that iNaturalist has on Dame's rocket, including when it is peak observation. Now I set it up here, peak observation in South Dakota, but you can change that for anywhere.
And just to let you know, this is not, this is the same on the app. I didn't show this to you, but you can click on an individual species. There'll be like a little tiny eye in a bubble, like information, and you can get all of that on your phone screen as well to help you identify things.
So I'm going to submit this observation, saving observation, and it will be added to my observations on my page. So saving. Now it's going to go to my observations. And so Emily mentioned the little red dots, which means that someone else commented on it. That is research grade. On the website version, they come up as green. So let's look at this one here.
Well, they're actually red in the phone when they're new and you haven't looked at them yet, and they're
Oh,
black on the phone after you've looked at them. So you can immediately see anything new from the last time you opened the app.
oh, okay. So what that means is that somebody came along and looked at this picture of the black-headed grosbeak, and they agreed that it was a black-headed grosbeak, like Emily was saying, and they said, yep. And so when you get two or more IDs, 2 out of 3 or 2/3 that agree with what this observation is, it becomes research grade. And if you scroll down, down, you can see the data quality assessment. And this is just what iNaturalist and the scientists will look at to make sure that what's going on with this data. So they're looking to make sure that the data is specified and the location is specified. You'll notice that in Emily's, those are missing. So automatically, it cannot get to research grade unless that information is there. Has photo or sounds, and I'll show you a sound in a minute. Yep. Has ID supported by 2 or more. Yep. And she showed you what it looked like on hers. The date is accurate. The location is accurate, meaning that my black-headed grosbeak isn't in January at the North Pole. There would be something really skeevy wrong with that. Organism is wild. Oh, this one's interesting.
It's important.
Yeah. This one means that it is not your pet black-headed grosbeak. It's not flowers you're growing in your garden.
I was going to say, Anne, how much do you like it when people identify their garden plants in iNaturalist?
You know what? If you do that, that's fine. Just come down here and mark it with a little thumbs down so that it will not go out for other people try to confirm your garden plant. You already know what your garden plant is. There are people who want them documented as potential resources for like pollinators, because pollinators just don't go to wild plants. They go to all the plants. So if you're trying to document pollinators in your community, you'll want the garden plants. Just make sure that you say, no, this isn't wild. And when you set up your project and that's advanced, you can say, I want the non-wild stuff in there too. But yes, there are people who spend a lot of time trying to identify the wild and natural organisms. Natural meaning they occur naturally, and coming across someone's dog or their tomatoes is like kind of frustrating for them.
I will add, though, that I have started cataloging all the feral cats that I come across in Brookings. That's kind of an odd one. Cats are generally considered pets, but these are wild. Do they count? Do they not? I don't mark them as like a garden plant. I keep them as wild.
And I think that's fair because they are volunteer, as it were. So like I took a photo earlier of a cherry tree that was a volunteer that came from a cultivated, planted cherry tree in my backyard. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was a plum. Evidence of organism, that means is there something there? Scat, a footprint, not just your say so. And is it recent? And then community taxon at species level or lower. Yes. Now, Emily and I, in our South Dakota Master Naturalist class, learned a lot about shrews. And we learned a lot.
There's so much to know.
There is.
There's a poisonous shrew.
Who knew?
Incredible.
Not me.
South Dakota.
In South Dakota. So don't handle the shrews. We also learned that the way to identify certain kinds of species is by the incisors. Two different species have different incisors. They look exactly the same otherwise. Well, you, unless you're extremely dedicated, are not going to get incisor photos. So
remember, one of them's poisonous.
That's very true. So you are not going to get to the species level. So you could click this based on the evidence. Can the community taxon still be confirmed? So you could, if you are at that species level of shrew, if this were a shrew data quality assessment, you could say, no, it's as good as it can be. And so I don't know if it was at the genus or family level, but that the shrew that's with the incisors happened. But you can still get it into research grade if you can't get the incisor picture. So that is using the website version. There is so much more, but we'll stop here today because this is pretty awesome, and we want people to go ahead and just try it and put yourself out there. Feel free to look either one of us up on iNaturalist and say, could you look at this? Or if you get stuck, put questions in the chat of the YouTube or the Facebook Live, and we'll help you out. So
and you might want to put my name is not Emily A. White in iNaturalist. It's Roddy McCorley. You might want to put that in the chat, Anne, so that if they do actually want to contact me, they can.
Okay. Is that MCC or 1C?
RODDYMCCORLEY.
Okay.
Long story.
Is Emily's iNat name. And I'm Ann C. Lewis. So, all right. Yes. So there we are. We're on your iNat name is on Facebook and YouTube. So yes. So go out this weekend. We have a long weekend coming up. Take some photos, add them, document the great state of South Dakota, and feel free to reach out to us if you have questions.
And try to beat me because I'm winning.
Good luck with that. You're not going to beat her.
You're not.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Be well.